Welcome back to the Next Play podcast with Prof G and Shively, episode 7. Good to see you there, Matt. How you doing today? We're coming to you virtually again. This was a good format for us. So, how are things?
Things are good, man. Things are good. Good to see you, and we're glad to hear our audience and talk about some Justice University athletics.
Absolutely, and it's a bummer we were as busy as we were last week, but we literally are saying good to see you because we didn't see either of us during all those games we were calling. So, busy week last week for Justice, but a productive week for basketball. Baseball obviously didn't have the same results that everybody was hoping for, but we'll get to chatting on that. So I guess if we just go by the day, Matt, we'll start with Thursday night. The first half of a doubleheader was Justice was out there against Bethesda again, who they just took on the Saturday previous to that. So Bethesda having a rough year. They're getting blown out on several occasions, and last Thursday was no different. So Lions walking away with a pretty easy victory there, about a little over 30 points, I believe is what they took that one by.
Right.
Fun to watch. The guys stayed engaged, and they turned the defense up in the second half especially. But you get nervous when you see the starters still on the court late in the game when you got a doubleheader the next night. So they were in there, though. I know Coach BJ is a big believer in, hey, we're going to play the team. We're going to play the schemes as though it doesn't matter what the score is, and yeah, so I was a little worried going in. I don't know if you watched any of it.
Back to back, maybe not nearly as big of a deal in college as it would be in the pros and stuff when they're a little older legs and stuff like that. But still, you're right. Like, I mean, you play back-to-back nights, you're prone to be worn down later in the game usually, and that's not at all what we saw with Justice.
No, not at all. It was a good all-around game for all of them, and another conference win, so that's always good to go. And then Matt and I were both busy Friday. You had a couple baseball games, Matt.
Yeah, and so backing up to Thursday, we didn't call this one, but Justice opened up a 3-game set against La Sierra. So they played the first one on Thursday, lost 4-0. Austin Watson pitched a really good game. The bats just couldn't get going. And so no runs scored in that game for Justice. And so that was a rough start to the weekend set there with the Thursday game. But the doubleheader
it was only 4-0 though, right? Thursday?
Only 4-0. So the pitching was good. The bats just didn't come and help out. But then Friday's doubleheader against La Sierra, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock doubleheader, there was no problem scoring runs in that one. Let's put it that way. But unfortunately,
for either team.
And unfortunately, there was no stopping runs for the Lions bullpen in both games, really. So that's to sum it up. The bullpen struggled, but the first game it was 22-11. It was like the game that never ended. It was the longest 7th inning in history. I'm making this up. I don't know if it is, but there were
in the history of Shively and Prof G and Shively broadcasting for sure.
Yeah, 15 combined runs in the frame. 10 in the visiting half. So basically, to set the tone, this is kind of how it went. La Sierra got out early, 5-0, 5 runs in the first inning, 5 spot. Not where you want to Valenzuela struggle to get out the chute. And then Lions answer back with 1. Then La Sierra scores again. So now you're up another 5 run cushion. Justice gets another one back. Right, so now it's 6-2 going to the third. Justice gets 3. So now they make it 6-5, and it's a ball game. They trade runs in the fourth. So now 7-6, which is the favorite score of our baseball team so far, is to be either 7-6 or 6-7, almost always, right? And then La Sierra scored the next 15 straight runs. 15 unanswered over the next.
I'm sorry, did you say 15, Matt?
15. And so that was all bullpen given up there. Struggling, and then the bottom of the 7th, the Lions. At that point, it was going to be it was supposed to be a 9-inning game. It got shortened to 7 because of the score, kind of the mercy rule. Lions got 5 back in the bottom of the 7th, so they didn't go quietly, which is good. So the final was 22-11.
Do you recall the text I sent you late in the game that day?
I think I just saw an ouch. Was that the one?
Oh, that was the second game, but later in the afternoon I said, when did you start calling football?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a couple
football score for sure.
Gotta have a 2-point conversion on both sides to get to 22. But yeah, absolutely. So anyway, it was a lot of runs scored. We had another good game by Caden Randall. He had 3 hits, a couple RBIs in that game. He was kind of your big, and then Cy Peterson had a 3-run triple in that 5-run 7th bases loaded triple, which was probably the exciting play of that game. Then to the visiting half, it was kind of the opposite deal. The Lions got out to the lead, and they had an 8-1 lead after 3, and that was kind of powered by literally a 2-run homer by Rosalino Valenzuela that just was like a towering blast. I didn't know if it was going to ever land. It was so high hit, and it's a long, like, it's way back to the wall, still going back to the wall. It's at, so it was really slow developing because it was just hit so high. And so that was huge. They scored 5 total in that inning. And then La Sierra. So after you get up 8-1, La Sierra scores 7 runs in the top of the next inning, getting them all the way back to an even 8-8 game. And then La Sierra basically down the stretch scored 7 to R2, and they wound up winning 15-10 in that one. Bullpen struggled for the Lions as well. Hancock only went 3, and so it was an 8-1 game when he left, and then that was all she wrote. Bullpen kind of struggled. Lots of walks, lots of clutch hits by the Eagles of La Sierra, and they got the 3-game sweep. They brought their brooms with them, and but good learning experience. The guys, stuff to build on for sure. Scoring 21 runs in 2 games is a good thing, but giving up 37, 41 for the weekend, not so great.
Yeah, so you start to be concerned with your pitching when you start seeing, a lot of runs being scored, which, that's great and all, but
yeah,
we started the season off, and I remember saying, man, the starters are coming off strong, and then the bullpen needed to, get some help there. And now it seems like it doesn't matter starter or bullpen, and the pitching just seems to be struggling a bit. So
yeah.
hopefully Coach Zach and his squad will get those things righted. I think La Sierra NAIA, right? They're not a.
I think so. They're tough. I mean, they are. I think, obviously more established program, but we had highlighted going in that they've been scoring lots of runs. They had a 6-1 record, so now 9-1, and so they're a tough team for sure. So some players got to play that start in that second game that hadn't gotten a start in a while, so that was exciting too. Isaac Salea got a start. Logan Carley got a start behind the plate. Markello Douglas started at second. Dallin Stokes started in right. All of those guys had hits. Logan Carley went 2 for 3. Isaac Salea went 1 for 3. Markello Douglas had 2 hits, 2 for 4, and Dallin Stokes went 1 for 3, so 1 for 4. So they all contributed, which was really good to see these guys that hadn't got a lot of starts get in and do some things. That kind of 6, 7, 8, 9, no 7, 6, 7, 8 in the lineup really did a lot of damage. Absolutely, can't stay away from the 6, 7. It just keeps happening.
Can't. I mean, you're parents of preteens and teens, right? So you got to stick with the 6 and 7.
Yeah, apparently. And then the Nelson nightcap. Did we talk about that yet?
We have not. I was just going to mention for baseball, though, it looks like next game for baseball coming up, doubleheader on Friday against, it's like a little round robin kind of thing again. So it'll be Benedictine and University of Fraser Valley, and then another one at 3 on Saturday. So not sure what order they'll be in necessarily, but it'll be another long weekend of baseball for sure. As you said, I think the first game that we broadcast baseball, you said this is when all the East Coast cold weather teams come out here. So the front of our schedule is very heavily loaded with games, and then I think it dissipates as the season goes on a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, be good to see what happens. But yeah, the Nelson game was probably the highlight, I think, of all the games for the week, just because Nelson is the in-town rival, but also Nelson took us out on a 3-pointer at the buzzer, first matchup of the year, and since then they've gone 9-1. So to see Justice come out, and I was expecting a pretty close game, maybe even another buzzer beater finish or something like that, and at halftime still feeling that way because it was 35-35, brand new game. But by the time second half was about 6-7 minutes in, the Lions had just figured something out, turned on the defense. Coach Letcher put on a press in the second half as well, which helped kind of discombobulate Nelson a little bit. And so, again, very even. I was talking to Connor, my son, got to broadcast that with me. I don't know if you caught any of that, but that was fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
And he actually mentioned to me, it looked like it was lopsided. And I said, yeah, look at the score sheet at halftime. And 3 players from Nelson had scored, or maybe it was 4. And I think 8 players from Justice had scored. And I think it even ended that way. I think the 3 players for Nelson did the bulk of it, with maybe a fourth getting 2 or 4 points. But Justice had multiple people in double figures. We had great 3-point shooting again by Marshall Curley. He took the Bethesda game off a little bit, so to speak, but then came right back in again and hit 4 threes on Friday night.
He hit 3 on Tuesday night against Ottawa.
Yeah, so he's definitely a 3-point threat.
Yeah.
And then JD Walker, a couple of high-flying acrobatic dunks, but also kind of we haven't seen a lot of him this season thus far, but Vontae Irving Jr. with just a spark that he added to the game. You may not look at the stat sheet and be like, oh, wow, he had a massive game or anything, but he brought a spark, he brought energy, he brought hops. He got a nice dunk that I got to call. So it was, Nelson was fun to watch. The place was packed, loud. Students were loud.
Well, and Vontae coming off an injury, he'd missed some time. I know he was just chomping at the bit to get out there to help his team. And so seeing him contribute was huge. You do see a lot of leadership too with Ray King and like you said, Valdez, coming in. He seems to be like the 6th man of the year for us, at least. Is
He's really good at either calming things down or just getting things back into an organized routine when things start to maybe. There were a lot of balls just flying fast. Connor mentioned at one point it was like watching a tennis match, back forth, real fast, and he kind of came in and, all right, guys, let's steady this thing up and slow it down.
He's the true point guard on the roster, right? They're starting 5. They don't really have a true point guard, and he is the true point guard of that roster. When he comes in, you can see it's a difference maker for sure. That maturity that he brings, like you said, he knows how to calm it down. And that's great. It was great to see him contribute and Vontae get out there again. And even Kazi was contributing big, and he brings in a little bit more muscle when he comes into the 5.
That was a big deal. I think the second half, you and I talked before we started chatting today, and it just looked like the second half, the message from Coach BJ was physicality, and bringing Jimmy in during that time frame really helped because they didn't really have an answer underneath for him. And again, not looking at the stat sheet like, oh man, he had 50 points or anything, but just the presence helped to draw defenders away and opened up the outside game. And the rebounding was real strong. Devin Miller, as always, was everywhere on the court. We did get some sad news that night. I'm sure other people might have already known it, but Jaden Cameron out for the season with torn patella tendon. Sounds like he's getting ready to have some surgery. So we knew he was hurt, but that's a little more of a blow than we anticipated. So best wishes for a quick recovery for Jaden.
Yeah, Jaden, best wishes for you, man. And Dante went down right before the season started, and he's one of the true big men on the roster as well. And so they've had it next man up. I mean, that's the mentality in any sport, but you've seen Justice adjust throughout this year to those kind of things, and other guys missing some time here and there, like we've referenced before. And I think JD missed the first Ottawa game, and then even Devin was sick that game. So there's a lot of adversity that you face throughout a season, and you see these guys really coming down the stretch run here. 2 more home games left, and then the tournament. So we got
a game Thursday night, and then a game 9 days later against Nobel, and then that's all she wrote for the season. So not just home games, that's just 2 more games.
No more road games at all.
No, I will say right now, officially in the record books, they have a record of 13-7. We're not sure if that's 100%, including all of the exhibitions or what they did. They did a lot of D1, D2 matchups in the non-conference season. So, but they are doing well. They're number 1 ranked in defense in the NCCAA, number 2 ranked in offense as far as points allowed and points scored. So, a lot of good things coming, a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of tough teams though when you look at the records and things like that in the NCCAA. So I'm anxious to see the tournament, but we got to get through the Southwest States tournament first. If we win that automatic bid into the NCCAA national tournament. There's also what's called an at-large bid. You want to touch on that?
Yeah.
What an at-large bid is?
After, each conference has their winner, there are a few, I want to say 1 or 2, maybe 2, at-large bids to round out the field of 8 that go to the national tournament for NCCAA in Missouri, Lookout Point. And so I would think, we're in the running for an at-large. There's obviously no guarantee at this point. But that would be, you don't want to wait for that though.
I'm saying there is a guarantee. That's you take care of your business and you get yourself
the guarantee. You win your conference, Southwest States Conference tournament. That will be there at West Coast Baptist, and then take care of business. That's it. Just go on a business trip and take care of your own business and make.
Some people discount those at-large bids too, because when we talk about March Madness, the people are used to, those are usually the Cinderella teams, right? The 16s that get and do some damage. But in reality, just last year, Nelson University won the national tournament, and they were an at-large bid. So
they were. We beat them in the conference tournament, and they got the at-large, and they ran the table. So, yeah, I mean, let's do that
without facing justice. We won't say that out loud, but
yeah,
they ran the table without facing us again.
Yes, they never did play us. And I would say justice, like you run the table, and and it's in sports sometimes you'll call it controlling your own destiny, and that's it. You can take care of what you can take care of, and that's win the game right in front of you, and you don't want to have to depend on other people losing and the chips falling in the right spots, and you just take care of your business.
Yep, and we didn't touch on this beforehand, but that's a really good segue just into general. Again, student athletes, not athlete students. Yep. So all you can control is the effort and the workload you put in, even as a student. So you got to just take care of your business, make sure nothing falls through the cracks, and not hope for a professor's grace and leniency at the end of a semester,
right?
But just take care of what needs to be taken care of. So
right.
I know it's not near the end yet, but we are getting toward midterms, and so. Mm-hmm. Lots of, I don't know about in your classes, Matt, but in my class, there's been a lot of points already scored, and we're, it's point heavy this semester, and it can get away from you if you're not on top of the game for our class, at least. So,
yeah.
So yeah, this week, Thursday night, sounds like Matt's going to be on the call there for basketball against Northern New Mexico, and then baseball. We're not 100% sure of the coverage, so watch our Instagram and Facebook pages on which games will and will not be covered in baseball because we can't get all 3 in, but we're going to try and get some of them in, something in, definitely, and I'll take care of those. So, any other parting thoughts, Matt, aside from go Lions and get out to the games?
Yeah, just shout out the other teams playing right now too. Volleyball, I know they're still in season. I know I believe Thursday they have a game. I want to say. I think they're missing class 4. I heard. Not sure.
Wasn't that the exhibition last Thursday, or was there another one coming up? I didn't.
They played.
Maybe
Wednesday.
I haven't checked my email.
Yeah, they played kind of they played. I think it's back-to-back Thursdays.
It is Thursday. You're right. Yeah, they played Simpson last week in an exhibition. They play MCC this Thursday. You're right.
And then the spring league soccer is still going on, and I know. Men had a game on Sunday down at ASU Club, and they lost that one, but they played a good match, and I believe the women have more on their schedule coming up as well.
Yep. So get out there, Lions. Even the women's sand volleyball, they're away a lot, so we only have a couple of home matches, and those really come toward the end of the season. So March 13th, 15th, and 27th will be home. Everything else is away, but they're all pretty local, with the exception of 1 or 2. So get out there and support the Lions. They definitely could use the support. They love the crowd energy. And I'll tell you what, in the gym at our place, it's loud. And we may not have a lot of seats and a lot of fans that can fit, but the ones that are there, I've heard from other coaches and other players that it gets real loud in there. So keep it coming, Lions fans, and support all of your justice sports. If you don't already, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Prof G and Shively. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit the notification bell so that you're made aware of any time there's a broadcast coming. And if you don't, you're hopefully subscribed to this podcast. But if not, go ahead and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on YouTube for that as well. But for now, I am Prof G with Matt Shively, and we will catch you next week.
Peace.